Hello and welcome back to another video tutorial. Today we will be applying lots of shimmer to our background and using our blending brushes to not only ink blend our background but to also apply color to our stamped image. I am going to start by ink blending our background using the colors Jelly Bean Green, Grass Green, Christmas Pine, and Dark Spruce, all from Gina K Designs. Starting with the Jelly Bean Green, I will blend the lower portion of my panel, leaving some white space. Leaving some white space allows the stamped image to really stand out instead of getting lost in our background. Once I've applied the Jelly Bean Green, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the Grass Green. When I'm first applying my color, I really don't worry too much about transition lines until all of my colors have been applied. It's a lot easier to blend your colors and to smooth out your transition lines when the cardstock is wet. Once I'm happy with the grass green, I will switch to Christmas Pine, which is my favorite green out of Gina's line. I absolutely love this green. I think it's a fabulous color and I think it is a great Christmas color as well. I also loved the cardstock, but unfortunately it has been discontinued, so I just hoard it and never use it. I'm super bummed, but hopefully one day Gina will find a paper mill that will bring that color back. Around the holidays it's super popular, and like I said, fingers crossed that one of these days it'll come back. And for our fourth and final color, I will bring in the Dark Spruce and blend that into the Christmas Pine. And so now I'm going to go ahead and work my way back down, starting with the Dark Spruce, and then I'm going to switch to the Christmas Pine, going back to the Grass Green, and then I will finish with the Jelly Bean Green. And because I'm going now from darkest to lightest instead of lightest to darkest, off screen before I switch to a lighter color, I do take my blending brush and rub that off on a paper towel. I only used one blending brush for all four colors. There was really no need to have multiple. Unless you have a bunch of blending brushes, then by all means have one for every color. I don't, unfortunately, so I just used one. Now that the ink blending has been completed, we will go ahead and switch to stamping our images. I will be heat embossing, so I'm going to bring out my Misty. I'm going to prep my cardstock with an anti-static powder tool. Mine's from Tailored Expressions. And then I'm going to use my Versamark ink, which is a clear sticky ink. So you'll notice earlier in the video, after I was done ink blending, I did use my heat tool to dry my background. However, I didn't dry my panel all the way. I had a lot of color on my card and I should have tested the cardstock before applying my Versamark ink. You'll notice here I left it in the video that when I apply my clear embossing powder, it sticks to everything, and again, that's because my panel was still wet. And so I'm sitting here like, wow, did I really just do that? But it's okay, we can fix it. I'm going to funnel the embossing powder back into the container. Off screen, I just wiped off the clear embossing powder, and so I'm going to bring my heat tool back out, and I'm just going to run it across my ink blended background until it's completely dry. And then I will bring my clear embossing powder back in to test it. But the crazy part is when I went to test it, for some reason, even though I had the heat gun on my panel for a while, that Versamark clear sticky ink was still wet. The embossing powder was still sticking to it. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go with it, and if it's not sticking anywhere else but my stamped image, fine, that's okay. And so I just, like I said, I went with it, funneled that clear embossing powder back into my container, and then I'm going to heat set the clear embossing powder. And everything was great. It worked just fine. I was really surprised. But it's a win, so I'm going with it. Now I'm going to bring my panel back into my Misty. I'm going to use my grid sheet from Simon Says Stamp to help me line up my stamped image again. And the reason I did that is because there's still some ink left on the stamp and I didn't want to get that on my panel. So by using that clear sheet, it helps me line up where I need to place the stamp. And then I'm going to prep my cardstock with the anti-static powder tool. I'm only inking the portion of the stamp that's going to transfer to my card. And then I'm going to bring in the clear embossing powder, heat set that, funnel the embossing powder back into the container so I don't get it everywhere, heat set it, and yes, at this point my heat tool is nice and hot. And then I'm going to bring it back into my MISTI once again, bringing back that grid. And then I'm like, oh shoot, it doesn't fit this way. That's okay. We're just going to rotate everything. Line up my stamp, close the MISTI, prep my cardstock, stamp my image. Again, I don't need to ink up the entire stamp, just the portion that's going to be on the card. Bring in the clear embossing powder and heat emboss my image. I'm also going to add spatter. Yes, splatter. I don't think I'll ever get that right, but I'm going to add spatter to my background, and I'm going to actually use my re-inkers to do this. So I'm going to use the Christmas Pine re-inker from Gina K Designs and the Dark Spruce. I will use a small paintbrush and a pen to tap on some spatter. Since the re-inkers are super concentrated, I did add a spritz of water before I applied the spatter. I'm also going to use white acrylic paint that has been watered down as well. And I will just tap, tap, tap until I like the way that it looks. Normally I do this in a splat box, but I was really lazy to bring it out, so you'll see that I get acrylic paint all over my glass work surface, but that's okay because it comes off with glass cleaner. I'm not too worried about it. It is now time to work on our hummingbird, and I'm going to heat emboss this image as well. So into the MISTI the bird goes. I'm going to prep my cardstock with the anti-static powder tool, bring in the clear sticky ink, stamp my image, and we are going to actually use black heat embossing powder. I'm going to bring in the embossing powder, apply it to my panel, just pour it on there, funnel the powder back into the container, and I'm going to go ahead and heat set that. Once again, I will be using Gina K Designs dye inks in the colors Wild Wisteria, Applemint, Stormy Sky, Powder Blue, and here I show Turquoise Sea, but I switched to Tranquil Teal instead. I really like the way that Wild Wisteria and Tranquil Teal blend together. They create a really pretty blue. As I have a smaller image, I am going to switch to a smaller blending brush. It makes it a lot easier to apply my colors. Starting with the color Tranquil Teal, I am going to apply that to the ends of the wings. And I'm going to bring in the Wild Wisteria and blend that into the Tranquil Teal. Again, it does create that really pretty blue. Harder to see on camera, but in person you can really see the blending of the two colors. Because I am ink blending a stamped image, when I go to die cut the bird, there will not be a white border like there normally is when you die cut an image. And I'm okay with that. I think it looks really good against our blended background. Here is the powdered blue that I'm applying to the bird's belly, and then the Applemint will be towards or is going to be the midsection of the bird. And that blends really well into the powdered blue. Since green and purple do not blend well together, I will make sure to bring in the turquoise sea to smooth out the transition. I will be using the color Stormy Sky to blend the bird's beak, and I wanted to make sure I don't get the Stormy Sky onto the bird's face, so I actually bring in a Copic marker in the color N6 to fill in the rest of the beak. Off screen, I die cut the hummingbird, and I also die cut 2 additional hummingbirds out of white cardstock. I'm going to use my Gina K liquid adhesive liquid adhesive, and to stack all my die cuts together, and that is what's going to create dimension on our card. I'm pretty sure I got more white spatter on my glass surface and my hands than I did my card panel. I am going to trim down my panel, and I will use the larger die from the Master Layouts 1 die set from Gina K Designs. With the panel trimmed down, we can go ahead and bring our MISTI back so we can stamp the word hello. I do bring in the hummingbird because it's a large image, so I want to make sure it fits and I can find the perfect placement for the word hello. We're going to prep our card, stamp the word hello with our clear sticky ink, bring in the black embossing powder, cute little dainty hello. I love it. It's adorable. I'm going to funnel the embossing powder back into my container, and I will heat set the embossing powder. Today's card will be an A2 size card measuring 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but it is a side folding card. I'm going to glue my panel onto my card base using my Connect liquid adhesive, using an acrylic block to really press down to make sure everything is adhered. I'm going to place my hummingbird. I'm going to nestle that right next to the word hello. And I'm going to bring in my Studio Katia iridescent pearls for some added bling. Using my embellishment wand, also from Studio Katia, it has a wax tip, which really picks up the embellishments and helps me place them on my card panel. And now it's time to apply our sparkle, our added shimmer to our card. So I will be using my Spectrum Noir Sparkle Glitter Brush Pen, and I'm going to fill in all of the flowers. You want to be careful when applying the glitter to your ink because Gina K Designs inks are water reactive. And because the sparkle pen is liquid, it will take away some of that color. And I don't mean like take away, but it will definitely kind of dilute the color and make it lighter, so you don't want to oversaturate the stamped image. You will notice at the end in my photos that where I apply the glitter pen, the ink is a lot lighter, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. It just adds more texture and more character to your card. But in the video, I try to capture the sparkle, but it's really hard because the clear embossing powder also adds shine to the card. But in person, it's really pretty. It's beautiful. So I'm going to continue to fill in my flowers and work my way all around the card, making sure I'm not forgetting any. I am also going to apply shimmer to my bird on his wings. I will apply the shimmer using a flicking motion. Look at all the shine. So much shimmer and shine. And that'll complete today's card project. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I would love for you to like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps. To all my subscribers, thank you so much for your support. Happy crafting. Bye.